Hi guys, Connie here. So today I'm actually doing my nails and I'm gonna talk to you guys about my journey to self-love, femininity, the matrix, all that good stuff. And I first wanna start off by saying that I am not perfect. This is just for my own experience. It's just for entertainment purposes only. Go to a professional doctor, psychologist, help if you are in a situation where you need the help. This is just my personal experience and my journey to it, and I hope that that you guys find some answer that you're looking for. So I first want to start off by saying that when I grew up in the jungle. I grew up in the village, and in the village we always had this rule of like, you got to have your own back. Like you obviously have your own community, but most of the time like no one is really going to be there to save you. So I always grew up with this hardcore mentality of, I got it. No, I don't need your help. You can come to me. I don't need you. And that's something that my father taught me, was like, have your own. And I'm very, very grateful. And although my relationship with my father isn't the best, I'm at least grateful for all the times he would give me advice. Okay? And so understanding that a father is very important for the foundation of a daughter's, a woman's self-worth in terms of how she sees herself. And men, I wish I did have that, but I'm not gonna sit here, weep and cry or be in a victim mindset because he could only give me what he had. And that's really important because my father taught me not to trust the masculine men, and my mother just amplified it, and that is a weapon of darkness. Darkness likes to put you in a high state of alertness, a high state of stress, whether it's monetary gain, whether it's you achieving dreams you want, but you're never truly at peace. So growing up, I always had this mentality of like, I don't trust men and I don't trust women. I've got myself, and when I fail, I beat myself up. There is no God, and I live in total darkness, and I'm all alone, and everyone comes to me and takes from me, but nobody can ever give to me. So that was my mentality. I learned it from living in the camp for a couple years before we fled to United States. Even then, we were living in the projects. So my accent sometimes comes out because most of my life was grown in the ghetto. Excuse me, like government food stamps, like, relying on help, like going to the food bank. So very, very, very humbling experience. And I remember I've never had a toy in my entire life till I was 9, until I was, I'd say, let me do the calculations. Until I was in my elementary school era, like in fifth grade, when a man decided to go to the church and bring toys for us because he found out that we were like new refugee family. Very, very sweet man, Mr. Brown, shout out to you. He used to work at this elementary school where I grew up in, and he was the reason why I'm so kind to strangers, because he didn't have to give me toys. Like when I got my first Barbie doll, I thought to myself, like, this is so cute, like this is amazing. Clothes, appliances, because we're so used to hand-me-downs. We're so used to microwavable food and spoiled milk and rotting meat, because that's everything that we have at that moment in time. And it made us sick, but it got us through the day. Now, why do I say that, right? I say that because, again, very masculine environment that I grew up in. You have to figure it out. You can't rely on anybody. You can't trust anybody, especially not men and women. So all my relationships and friendships with women, terrible. Up until this year, right? All my relationships with men, terrible. I had a lot of issues. They had a lot of issues. We attracted. I'm healing now. So this whole year was a strong awakening of, who am I? What is my spiritual gift? How can I serve God through my spiritual gift? And I realized it was through YouTube, okay? Which is why I'm making this. Long story short, I'm sitting here, I'm like in a strong masculine state. You can't tell me what to do. Shut up. I make the money. Like I make the calls. I'm in control. And then it just didn't serve anymore because I wanted a relationship. I wanted a forever partner. I wanted like be my best friends, And I just realized this hyper masculine, wounded, you couldn't even talk to me. I was very angry all the time. I never took no for an answer. I was very disrespectful. I was an angry hothead, all these things. And I'm telling y'all this, not to shame me, but to show y'all that yes, this operating of like, I can do it, I can make the money, I can get this degree, I can pay the bills, I can take care of my mom. And this video is specifically to girls that want to have relationships, that want to have a great life where they're taken care of, that want to feel safe, that want to feel loved, but they just genuinely like don't know like where to start. So watch to the end of this video and you can do this, girl. Like, it is so possible for you to have that reality, okay? So again, I'm in this strong state. I don't like my reality. All the relationships I had failed. Okay, I was, like I said, I was cheated on, I was lied to, manipulated, gaslighted. Again, I can sit here and blame the men, but I should be really, I took ownership and I was like, well, I allowed that to happen and I didn't know. So my people perish from lack of knowledge, but not me anymore. So sometimes it's easy to blame the external reality of like, they did this, but it's like, well, if they did this and the universal law is you are what you attract, then at some point you did that. And so when I realized I had self-neglected myself, self-abandoned my dream, didn't care about myself or love myself enough, what do you think I attracted? I attracted someone that was just an a-hole, like seriously, an a-hole who gave me specific times when to talk to them, or would try then wouldn't try. And it was just like a terrible, like, oh my gosh, but it was so beautiful because I learned so much about myself and I learned skills that I can use to sustain myself. So again, all my relationships and friendships were from a strong place of wounded, toxic masculinity, no hint of femininity, none. And what was life-changing was when I found myself in my mama's basement and I was like, okay, this is your third time. The talking stages, relationships failed. Clearly, Conde, you're not doing something right. And the hardest part is admitting that it was me. This is my program. And I was like, well, I admit that I just neglected myself. I didn't know how to love myself. I hated everything that I saw. Every day I would look at the mirror and I'd be like, I would glance and I just put my makeup, glance, but I never truly admired her. So most of you guys can relate to this. Like, you guys, you know, you can put on makeup, you can lie to yourself, but at the end of the day, your spirit does not lie. And so I told myself the truth that I didn't like what I saw in the mirror and I had to change. Something had to give. And at that time, you know, my community is very much like every community is in terms of like reputation and all that. But I was like, I want the truth and I'm willing to live in the truth. And I'm not up for sale. Because when you live in the truth, nothing can buy you. No money, no relationship, no nothing. So when I decided to live in the truth, I had no choice but to look at femininity in a way of this is my answer. So again, when I was in that basement, right, and I was like, okay, nothing's working out. What do I do? How do I fix this? I was operating from a place of, again, trying to keep everything in control. My relationship was failing, my health was failing, money wasn't coming in, you know, I'm losing a sense of everything. I don't want to go back home. I feel like a failure already. Do I try again? What's up? What can I do? I just want to make sure everything is the same. Don't we all? Now, long story short, okay, I'm like, okay, something's got to give. So I decided to read a book called, I read the Emotional Intelligence book, and I read something called How to Love Yourself Better by Young Pablo. And that changed everything. I started watching podcasts on femininity and what that is. And I discovered that I truly hated myself when I was sitting there and I just came from work. I made that video. I came from work and I just bawled my eyes out. I was like, I was listening to this Erin Lyons podcast, right? And she was talking about you can't truly love what you don't trust, and you can't trust what you don't love. And I was like, crap, like, do I love myself? Like, at least I think I do. You know, I don't want to admit it. And in this time between July 2025 up until now, constant healing, constant shedding. It was just like the world was spinning. I'm exhausted. It's like fear this, love that. Oh, you hate yourself. Now we got to work on this. And it was just like, oh, you got to fix your diet, do a parasite cleanse. You know, you're doing all this stuff. you gotta work and you gotta think about your future and trusting the man. So it wasn't like I woke up one day and was like, I hate myself. No, it was the accumulation of unprocessed emotions. And I finally asked myself the question, like, Conde, like, do you love yourself? And my spirit says you don't love yourself the way that you should be, the way that God wants you to be. And literally, guys, like, that broke everything in me, because I would want to think that like I would want to think that I love myself. I would want to think that like, oh, all of this wouldn't be worth it if I admit if I admit that I didn't love myself. That means now I have to do something to love myself. And so the hardest part about these, really from July until now, is every week it was old programs, thoughts, habits, beliefs, and allowing the feminine, the healing, the understanding, the grace, the forgiveness, the compassion, the mercy, the kindness, the consideration, all that into my being, when all that I grew up with was opposite of that. It was anger, it was resentment, it was demasculation of, I saw my parents argue and, abuse. Okay, so I'm like, if I admit that I didn't love myself, that means this would truly set me free. Do I want to be free? Because now I have to come up with a whole regimen, a whole routine and method on ways I can love myself. I just healed my fear of money, fear of abundance, fear of security, all these deep fears and traumas. Now you're telling me that, oh my God, I really didn't love myself and I hated myself. And then on top of that, not trusting men and not trusting myself. Like, what is going on? It just felt like everything was 10xing within July to December. And Spirit said, the year of 2026 is the year of the horse. This is when you see businesses prosper. This is when you see things come into fruition. Old programs and habits and thoughts no longer align. So I was like, okay, well, this is so much. And guys, I was literally busting my butt off, working hours and hours. And I just got a new place. And I got my sister living here with me. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't back out now. I just can't. And I was like trying to make ends meet. Bro, I remember I was like, I was trying to like split rent. I was trying to do everything I can. I was applying for loans just to help me get by. And I tell y'all this because there's nothing wrong with admitting your mistakes. It is about doing. And I want you guys to see that like there's nothing wrong with trying again and failing. And I remember one point in my life where I literally had just enough for rent. I don't know how the hell am I gonna get groceries. I'm over here like, my sister just started her job. We just got this place and crap, like what do I do now? Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And I ran away from my purpose. And remember, I had so many YouTube accounts and Instagram accounts, and I kept deleting them because I didn't think somebody wanted to see my content. Again, fear of being judged, fear of being rejected. Allowing the feminine, how it changed me was I had to let go of the idea that I hate myself and that I'm unlovable. I had to let go of the idea that like no one cares for me because it's not true. I had to let go of the idea that no one will provide for me. Again, deeply, deeply wounded, almost so fixed in the I'm gonna give up on relationships, this idea that this world exists, that I can prosper and be all this. Because remember, I was the person you would do like a hotline. Like I was somebody else's hotline. You can call me 24 hours, but when I would say something or need something, they never came through. Again, fear that no one was gonna be there for me. And so once I saw how this world, how I manifested everything and I was the reason, that was the hardest thing. And I remember I was like crying for a whole week because I was like, I'm the reason why I'm here. I'm the reason I got this far, but I'm also the reason why like I'm not where I want to be. And that's okay. Allowing the feminine means the understanding and the grace of like, it's okay. Like, we'll figure it out. It's fine. You're not your mistakes. And we get a chance to bring heaven on earth. It's okay. It's okay to not have everything figured out or living, check to check. This is a part of your life, but that doesn't mean give up on it. You're so close, Conde. Allowing the feminine, guys, simply means like, please be on your team. Please be on your team. Please advocate for yourself. Please be your own best friend. And what self-hate looks like is, for example, if you have food allergies, you know, a lot of people can be lactose intolerant. For me, it was like, I know I'm not supposed to eat these foods, but I hate myself so much. And I would listen to my mind, and I was working night shifts, and I still am. I would listen, this is how smart your brain is. I'm not supposed to have dairy or sugar or anything fried, because you know how bad it is for your gut. I'll be like, I'm so tired. I worked a 9 to 5. I'm gonna have Chick-fil-A. I worked hard. I'm gonna have Chick-fil-A. Knowing, first of all, my stomach's gonna be messed up. I'm gonna be tired. I'm gonna complain about it, but I don't care because I'm still gonna do it because I really hate myself. And I didn't realize that, because it's so easy to be like, well, I worked hard. I'm gonna spend this money on this bag. I'm gonna get Chick-fil-A. And I remember I would nonstop just eat my emotions, because I just hated everything about me. And everyone on the world in the social media platform was always like, be positive, keep an uplifting mindset, like, and I'm like, I am doing that, and I hate myself even more. Like, counterproductive, right? And it wasn't until this psychologist had explained that, like, you can have like a positive outlook after you admitted the truth about how you truly feel, because then there's nothing holding you back. It's not in the back of your mind. Your mind will constantly play something because your heart has felt it. So I had closed my heart for a very long time, and it was time for me to be like, okay, let's open our heart. Let's feel these emotions. Let's embrace to understand and think it through. That was the mantra, right? Embrace to understand and think it through. And once I did that, my self-hate went away. I'm like, I woke up one day and I remember I just was like, oh my gosh, there's no weight on my chest of if I could have done better in life. I should have done this, I should have done that. There was nothing like that, guys. It was just, I genuinely just woke up, and it just felt like, oh my gosh, if this is what the peace of God feels like and loving yourself feels like, I want to stay here. Because remember, there are so many signs and symptoms of like you hating yourself or you not allowing femininity in. For me, it was like constantly self-sabotaging my gut. My gut is my second brain. Or why is it that when someone disrespects me, I deal with it? But when someone is nice to me, I'm just like, okay, whatever, I take it for granted. So what this means is when you're operating from a place of hypermasculinity and all you know is like people disrespecting you, people rejecting you, this is a self journey. You're doing all that to yourself. And if I'm hurting myself through all these things, I'm only seeping and bleeding to that in the relationships. That was my fault. And a part of life is giving yourself grace and be like, yeah, I made these mistakes. So what? We're going to figure something out. It's going to be okay. Now, what does this have to do with femininity? Like, when I admitted that I hated myself and all that jazz, it wasn't like I just woke up the next day and decided I'm gonna make YouTube and all that stuff. I took time for myself, guys. I took time for myself. I loved myself like no other. Even if I'm working night shifts and I'm tired, I'm like, I know for a fact Conde loves getting her nails done. I know for a fact Conde wants to drink her smoothie. So that's what I did. Right? So like I said, it wasn't that once you admit like you hate yourself, it's not positive thinking that will actually save you. That is obviously part of the equation. It is the truth will set you free. And it did set me free, because now it's like I get a chance to really love her, and that's a chance for me to understand me. And when I woke up, it just felt like reality was so clear. Now, granted, we're humans, we still have certain feelings, but I love myself truly, deeply, and unconditionally now. I respect myself truly and unconditionally now. I am my best friend now. I'm capable of attracting all that I need to prosper now. And so I started talking to myself nicer. This world is not ready for the feminine energy. Meaning, a lot of you guys might have this question of like, oh, like, well, where are the feminine women? Where are the feminine men? Why isn't my reality happening? You have to you really have to point the finger to yourself. Meaning like, the only reason why you're not losing weight is because of you. The only reason why you're not losing weight is because of you. The only reason why you're not having friends is because of you. And if you point and you try to go on Tinder and try to fix everything outside, you're only hurting yourself. And so once I recognized these conversations, it's like the whole month of December was just like, from July until November, it was like, okay, I'm speeding up. And December was just a straight like emotions and healing and this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, when will this stop? But God is so great, because the year of 2026 is the year of the horse. And everything that the blockages and all that, it'll go away. So this whole year was a test for everybody. If you feel like, relationships fell apart, you are not where you need to be, you thought you liked this career, but you really don't, it's time to ask yourself, like, what do you really want to do, and not what the world tells you to do. And at the end of the day, it's like, once you get that degree, once you get the relationship, then what? It's the always then what question that a lot of people don't want to think about. Because I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire, I'm gonna have a business, I'm gonna have this, but all my relationships sucked. I had financial problems back in the past, I don't anymore. I'm prosperous now. Then what? Once I reach that state, then what? Right? So it goes back to the idea of like, these little habits matter. Loving yourself matters. Being there for yourself matters, because with or without money, with or without relationship, you are the only constant right now. So you owe yourself everything that you've never had, from a place of genuine love for yourself, so you can spread it to other people. And it's very easy to be like, love hurts, or like, they did this to me. But it's like, no, you did this to yourself. And the only reason why we don't want to admit what we've done wrong is because you have to now admit that you're inadequate. There's a lack of knowledge. And that's the hardest part, because we want to think that we're on top of the world, that we're the only species on earth, and that nobody else exists, and that we know everything. Well, if you know everything, then you have the power to prevent everything. But that's not how the world works, because then essentially we would all be gods. God created this world. We are from God, right? We're on this journey to God, within God. So again, back to the idea of like, femininity is God. Because once you take the money away, the relationships and all of that, you're left with yourself. What have you filled into your cup? Okay? And the only reason why I'm telling you guys this is because I believe this matrix lie of like, if I had money and all this stuff, I'd be happy. Hell no, I wasn't. And the fact, how was I more physically happy, like physically fulfilled, right? The cars, the apartment, the money. And internally, like, everything was falling apart. And I only grabbed that entrepreneurship side of me, the business side of me, the work side of me, for control, because everything else I was fearing. So this video isn't just for me to tell you guys my mistakes, what I've done wrong, but simply for you guys to understand that it is okay to fail. It is okay to try again. Don't ever lose enthusiasm. That can be very hard. It's like, when will this pay off? Like, it's very easy to want things to be transactional. We want things to be now. We want things to happen now. We want that relationship now. But the problem is that, like, if you want everything now and God loves you, do you honestly think he wants you to put in the predicament that you've put yourself in the past? And some of us might think we know everything, but we don't. Okay? Some of us have big egos like I did in the past, because we're scared. In reality, it is you might have an understanding, but God's plan is greater. And for those of you guys that are like, well, how do I trust God? How do I believe in God? I'll make another video. But long story short, is allowing femininity simply means being receptive to the all-knowing and allowing yourself to flow when needed and to stop when needed. It is a skill that school does not teach you. And even if you had the money, you had the home, you had the relationship, without putting in the work to maintain it, if you don't have the skills to maintain a relationship and money, then you're gonna break your heart all over again. And God sees that. And God loves you so much as his daughter, as his divine daughter, as his divine son, that God's not gonna put you in a predicament no matter how much fuss you make or you're wondering where your husband is at. Trust, we've all been there. And long story short too is, before I wrap this up, I want to tell you guys that, like, outside of social media, you might see people doing good. You might see people going on trips, you know, you might see happy, cute little families and people doing Christmas. But I'll simply say too, is that it's so easy to compare our life to someone else's life and criticize their experience. Like, oh, they shouldn't be complaining, they should be grateful. But if you don't look in the mirror about who you really are, you will go your whole life hurting yourself and other people, and you become a walking tick bomb. No matter how much financially rich you are, no matter how much successful you are in your careers, you will destroy yourself. And that's where the conversation of self-love, self-hate, and accepting yourself comes into play. And it's so interesting because Bev Tucker, she's amazing. And one thing she said I'll never forget, and she was like, you can equip a child to be the most successful child externally, whether it's a degree, money, but if that child has no God within that child, the love within the child, that child will self-destruct. And in my case, I self-destructed July 2025. Every year was the same. Every year around July, it was like a pattern that I've been seeing. And for the first time, 2026, like, we're breaking this generational curse. And I wanted to tell you guys, like, I remember 21 in July, graduated high school, went to college. College wasn't for me. July 2022, moved, like, finally decided to move somewhere else. July 2023, found myself, you know, in a previous person, found myself in my car. July 2024, came back home after a relationship and found myself with nothing, no money to my name. And July 2025 came to nothing to my name. And I was like, okay, I'm stepping back and I'm letting God show me, because this pattern of, like, from 2021 to 2024, well, 2025 technically, it was like constant program. And at what point am I going to neglect myself? I love myself too much, and you guys should love yourself truly and deeply. So again, I caution you that sit back, relax. And one thing I like to always say is divine love. If you are here, I allow you full access over my life to lead me to eternal glory. Now, immediately. Thank you so much, divine love. Inviting the presence of God is only going to speed up, because God operates in a way of respect. I'm not gonna come into your home and throw everything else. I'm gonna ask you, hey, can I come in? So how you can attract divine God is, God, purify my being and lead me to eternal glory, and give gratitude. And you'd be surprised at how fast God responds, because God is just knocking on your door, standing at your door, waiting for you to allow this source to come in and to help clear out everything that doesn't belong. That's how powerful God is. I hope you guys found this video very inspiring, but also very real. We talk about real things over here. Like I always say, be fruitful, go multiply, Christ consciousness. But okay, update. So these are my nails. I just gotta do this side. But you can get these on Amazon. Very, very cute. I like the way that they're very small. They look like my natural nails. So I blended like beige and like pink. But I love you guys so much.